principal teachings. Principal teaching is Dzogchen teachings. That is what Dzogchen teaching. And the Dzogchen teaching has two groups, as we heard always. It is called Trekcho practices and Toga practices. Among these two, this is Trekcho practices. That, as in title says too, at the very beginning, this is the song of the Trekcho practices. And now, Trekcho practices is one way, simple way to tell, is meditation. Meditation now, I have to meditate. And in order to meditate, in order to do this Trekcho meditation, first is foundation. That is very important. I'm not going to talk too much about these foundations, but because you all know, the Ngondro practice is the foundation practices. Within the Dzogchen practices, also we had so many times the opportunity, went through this one after another. Those are Rishi practices. Out Rishi, inner Rishi, all those practices is the Ngondro practices. Even though they are so powerful, so special practices, to compare it with the Dzogchen practice itself, they named as like the Rishi practices or the Ngondro practice, or of the Ngondro of the Dzogchens. So, but however, even we finish the Ngondro practices, and I like to encourage generally those who didn't complete the Ngondro practice, please finish that. Really make that our resolution, try and finish. This is our practice. We're not just dragging some extra unnecessary packaging along the way our beautiful practices. That is practices. This is like Dzogchen. I said the other day in a Khenpo Rinpoche many times, what Dzogchen means? Great completion practices. Means we completed everything. We're not sorting out. If we're sorting out, then we're not really practicing Dzogchen, because we are still world of habit patterns. We're still from the world of the habit pattern. Even we're in the spiritual world or the Dzogchen teaching, we're still applying our old habit pattern, trying to apply and regulate it with our ego cleans, with our duality, with our habit patterns. That is not right. We're trying to release, remove, transcendent of the ego clinging, duality, old habit patterns. Therefore, Ngondro is so important. And therefore, in the teaching always said, what? There is, even the Ngondro has two that we all know. We all know. It's like first Ngondro and then second Ngondro or the principal Ngondro. First Ngondro is precious human lives. Thinking of the precious human lives. Second is impermanent. And third is thinking of the cause and effect, result are inevitable. And fourth is samsara has difficulty and challenges. Difficulty and challenges. Those are important. As I said the other day, if we think that, it really makes ourselves more soft-hearted, more wise, more decent, more common sense. It will bring more common sense. And also practicals. That. And also that means we're not going to wasting times. Wasting our time, wasting our friends' times. And we're going to make something meaningful to ourselves, to the others. So all this is important. And for those reasons, every teaching in the teaching said, every session this teaching said, you must reflect this first four training of the mind. Precious human body, impermanent, cause and effect, and the results are inevitable, and the samsara is difficult. And for that reasons, and this is, if we have time, for example, not time, I think you should do, or we should do this. This page 3, for example, in this open booklet, we have this. This is like, this is the great teachings of the first is Shantidava's teachings. What's it? Foremost, this page 3 or page 4, sorry. Wait and see, it's page 3, but I think it's English is page 4. Page 4 has first the contemplative wealth that's extremely difficult to obtain. The Venerable Shantideva says, this freedom and the richness are hard to get, by which the aim of the beings are completion. if I fail now to achieve their benefit, how could this great reach ever come again? Kind of think of this. We're not just making false statement and kind of making up these things. Truly, it is so special, so rich. And how this great master, Karma Chami, said in one of his teachings, that we went last few years ago in our retreat, said, among all the all the six realms, to be born as human being is very precious. To be born as human being is precious. Among all the human beings, to be born as like perfectly, perfectly all the senses, that we have all the perfect senses, is very precious. Everything senses are good. Our organs, our eyes are good, ears are good, nose are good, tongues are good, bodies are good, intelligence are good. It's so precious. It's not just came by accident. Among all that having, the one who has 18 endowment is so precious. 18 endowments, all luxury. At freedom, 10 luxuries. It's so precious. Among all that even 18 endowments, that we have recognized that is so precious. To recognize is so precious. Recognize. Many people have this, maybe call it, but not recognize. If they don't recognize, then we become what? Poor, pathetic. There may be more suffering. Instead of enjoying of the 18 endowments, more suffering. Spoiling that. And then, among even, since we are not just recognized, but we're using, applying this, how precious, how beautiful. We're really taking meaning of our lives. Think of those the great masters said. One after the, it's not just that they said, this is a reminder to us. Us what we are, what we have, this luxuries. Therefore, life is so precious. Life is so special. Life is so important. This is a vehicle to get the beautiful goals that will benefit to me or to all the beings, to ourselves, to all the beings. Without this, we won't go far. And so all these things. And then of the impermanent. And also cause and effect inevitable. All these things kind of reflect this. And impermanent, how I say it. This is again in this great teaching said third concept. Sorry, impermanent, yeah. Here, this is the Buddha's teaching. It's Buddha's his own word. It's the page 4. First, contemplate the wealth that extremely. No, this is in the second. Second, contemplate the impermanent life that extensively displays Sutra says. The three realms are the impermanent, like the clouds of autumns. The birth and the death and the wandering is like the views of the place. The life of the beings passes just like the lightning through the sky. Passes quickly like the water descending a steep mountains. This is how the life is. It's impermanent. This is not just making ourselves something kind of a funny story or these things. Truly it is. Life is so fragile, it's moving fast. And how we look to our lives, how many things have changed? How many things have shifted? And how many things are going to happen? It's nothing that is called hope. Nothing going to change. For those reasons, great master, very known as Ashwagosha, very famous master, he said, think in the world, he said, think in the world, think in the heavens. If you see anyone who is still here that never changed, or nor you saw, or nor you heard something, nor you doubt something, nothing. There's nothing is now ever going to last. This is what everything is. That we also apply to include ourselves. For that reason, time is special. Well, time is with us. In all these things, enjoy the families, enjoy the friendships, enjoy the practices. bring more joy, happy, peace, instead of again worry, this and that things. Of course, in life those things come, but that's what we're practicing, trying to really handle those situations nicely. So those all, I'm not going to now. This is the one after another. This is the Buddha's teaching. Buddha's teaching, and you read. And then in the Ngondro, we have beautiful those prayers. Just kind of this is, when you do these things, it will make ourselves what? It is first two things. The precious life, thinking of the precious lives, and the impermanent makes ourselves more kind of practical, not going to waste our time. We make time more useful, more beautiful. And thinking of the cause and effect of the result inevitable, what it does, it will become, our activities will become more thoughtful. No matter how big and small, it will return back. It has cause, it has consequence. It's no matter whether it's good or bad. Therefore, if we start thinking of the cause and effect and the result and inevitable, our activity will become more nice, more positive, more beautiful. So we become very thoughtful. And we start thinking of the samsara, the difficulty, challenges. It will bring more open understanding. We're not just only ourselves that experience trouble. Widely we are going to look to every direction. Even though we have difficulty, troubles, we're experiencing, but we're not going to hold, we're not not going to perish ourselves. Instead, we have more courage, more strength, more commitment, more love, more compassion. How this happened. Therefore, I am going to do something, good things that way. So, therefore, it will make more openness in the mind. Open. Yeah. So, those all very good. With those thoughts, now, if you can do this, because since we are practicing, and you are for the retreat, and therefore really reflecting those thoughts. These practices are not just a practice when we're sitting in the meditation. Always the great master Ngondro said, it's not just him, but always trying to cooperate all for our activities with practice. 4 activities, or 4 casual routine our activities. What are the 4 routine our activities? Generally, human beings. Sitting, sleeping, standing, and walking. Those are the casual routine activities of the sentient beings or the human beings. These 4 activities. Always in Buddha teaching said, 4 activities. That is routinely we do. Sit, sleeping, standing, and walk. That's it. We connected that all 4, kind of cooperated that all. And during the meditation, we did meditating in Dzogchen meditation. So that means meditation time in practice, this period you can divide into 2. Meditation state, post-meditation status. Meditation state, we're meditating in the Dzogchen, or we're meditating on the Buddha, visualizing deity, reciting mantra, and so forth. That's meditation state. And the post-meditation is the second hour activities. And post-meditation, what we're going to take? We're going to bring that practice, what we practice, bring into the post-meditation, and at the same time, what are we going to do? This always said 4 things. That great master, his holy Rinpoche said too. These 4 things, remember, the impermanent, bodhicitta, the pure perception, and everything. Impermanent, that also means, I should say this, everything is magic, it's dreamlike. Everything is magic, the dreamless. Compassion, and the compassion, or the bodhicitta, the devotions, and then respect and appreciation. Those 4 are, if we're trying to reflect that, when we are in the post-meditation status, trying to bring those. Impermanent, also that means magical regions. That's what I think, so I joined after the practice. This is not just I joined it, but it's a kind of tradition, lineage. And every time session when it ended, they joined that prayers in monasteries. I joined after we finished our during meditation afternoon. I joined Karma, Rabra, Manmeti, Yuma, Sepa, Chora, Malando, Tinta, I joined it, and we have that translated. This is, and can you give me? Sorry, you have to get up. I joined. This is this is the Buddha teaching, actually. Buddha teaching. As a star, as fire rain, lamp, magic display, dew, bubble, dream, lightning, and clouds, you should see all the condition things. That's the old condition. This is the examples of this. This is the examples of this. Examples. This is not just an example. Actually, reality level, everything is in this state. According to Buddhism. Or reality, really, everything is in this status. We don't see this. This is everything. Everything is like dream. Everything is like magic. Magic is exactly to remind you this in post meditation. You see this. This is not we're going to see kind of something sadly, pathetically, but going to see this kind of with the devotion, with understanding, with the thought. It's all dream. I'm dream. This is dream. I'm just now in the dream status. One of the dreams. This is that when you started thinking that also is really helpful. For example, if we're doing practice dream yoga. Dream yoga practice always you should think this, not just a dream yoga is dream yoga, but this is dream. Dream, and this is what? What that does, what that helps by doing this practice. It helps us softening of our grasping and clinging, is then bring the exactly way that these relatives are. Relatives are. So those all important. Those all is important with this thought. And then we begin to now, with those kind of beginning way, and then we practicing the Trekcho practices. Trekcho practice.